You grow up. You grow up. And you stop thinking about yourself.
What is up, crew? We are back with PaulB. We're gonna pick up from where we last left off, as he was explaining what it feels like to be murdered, true and honest, on a non-love quest. It's an agape quest for the backstabber. His personal Julie. All right. All right, Paul. Let us zap to the extreme.
Before they fired me, that was the end of my life. It was over. I will never be prosperous again. I will never have income again. I'm going to start losing everything I have done over 56 years of life. It's just...
What a completely defeated mindset this guy has. And considering, like, he kind of presents himself as a real go-getter, he's a real get-her-done kind of guy. He doesn't muck around. He just gets out there. There's no time to panic. There's no time to bitch or moan. He gets out there and gets it done. But no, he's completely defeated.
Just going to start going away by attrition. I have reached the crest. With that one act, they ended my life. Now it's just a matter of how long will the suffering go on? How long will I suffer before I die? That was the only question from the moment that door was locked, a week before they even fired me, because I knew they were going to fire me. That's the kind of people they are. They don't like homeless people.
You sometimes forget that this is underpinning all of it. That is the basis. That's the structure that holds this whole thing up. Is everything comes back to the fact that they were osteophobes. They hated homeless people, and they were desperate to get rid of him once they knew he was homeless. That is the complete basis, the ground floor concrete of his argument. But sometimes he'll go forever and a day without mentioning it, and then you're like, oh yeah, he's the homeless Holocaust.
And they're not that smart. If some beautiful young girl with puppy dog eyes comes up and says, I didn't do it. Like,
I mean, puppy dogs have cute eyes. I can't really visualize it on a human. I did like an AI thing in one of the videos, and it was like, this is fucking odd. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could see it.
Like Bart Simpson, they're gonna believe her.
Wait, what did Bart Simpson do?
Beautiful young girl with puppy dog eyes comes up and says, I didn't do it. Like Bart Simpson, they're gonna believe her.
I like The Simpsons. I don't know if many people believe Bart Simpson. He was like Dennis the Menace of the show, and no one trusted him or believed him, even when he was telling the truth, because he was always up to mischief, right? Not too sure what he means by that.
Your life passing before your eyes then. How long will it take for my life, 56 years, to pass before my eyes?
The latter half of it, Paul, is going to be just brutal. So I don't know how much truth is in like your first 20 to 25 years of like being an independent adult, but the next half is just once you hit Minnesota, like just skip past that, do 10x, 100x on that, and it will flash past real quick.
Professionals, I think you can figure this one out.
Yeah, just So, you know, he's talking to the video like it's you know, Columbo or CSI Miami or some bullshit like that, you know. When he talks about professionals, you professionals, you'll understand.
It's going to take about 56 years.
He's talking to Crux Confusion? I don't know what his name is now.
Isn't it? Yeah. See, the human brain is not a computer. I have studied neuroscience, so I know a lot about the brain. I'm not an absolute
Looked up YouTube videos and maybe watched a documentary.
expert on it, and certainly not in the last 20 years. But when, in the 80s, I was really up on that. I know computers inside out and backwards. That's what I went to grad school for. And a computer is not a human brain. A human brain so far surpasses the capabilities of that.
Oh, fucking hell, man. You need that laptop for your scripts, Paul. When you do these videos, you're reading it. So relax, man. Just be gentle with this shit. It's destroyed so much crap, and it's like visibly, you can hear the thud, you can hear the crash, and you're like, yeah, that's probably cracked a screen. What's he gonna say? Wasn't my fault.
It's tied to a power supply. That your computer.
Yeah, you fucking idiot. He's got it charging there. You can maybe see it at some point. If he bends or rips the pins and bends them out of shape, or he kind of like breaks the little module out, it might be very difficult to fix it, Paul. You might not have those capabilities, so you can't charge this anymore. So just watch out.
So this whole thing about your life passing before your eyes is nonsense. What does happen is this. Important, significant events in your life flash into your mind. Maybe not many of them. When you got married.
But wait, what's the distinction, Paul? It sounds like it's the same thing. You're describing the same thing.
Your first kiss, when you had your first child. Some significant event. There's going to be 1, 2, 3 things that flash into your mind from your life.
So he's not saying like from start to finish, like your whole life won't flash. It's just certain important moments. Yeah, he doesn't understand the fact that I don't think they mean that. Like, what they mean is that the important moments in your life will flash past, like the hallmarks, but not from like conception, first breath to, you know, middle age and last breath. They don't mean that. It's just the hallmarks, the events of your life.
And the thing is, it hovers there because you're too busy wondering, is this guy going to kill me? Oh my gosh, I'm being stabbed. I got to fight this off. You're thinking about a lot of things, but this image comes into your mind and you can't stop it. It hovers there. It's like something in your peripheral vision. You know, out here. Like I can still see my hands. It's like a peripheral thought or 2 or 3, but not your whole life. And the thing is, it gives you the impression.
Are you really getting caught up on this, like, this silly little detail? Like, is this something really bothering you, Paul?
That you're seeing your life pass before your eyes, and it's horrible. The reason is because if you do end up with the time to think about it, here's what it distills down to. Number 1, I did all of that with my life. I went through all that school for 12 years. I went to college. I did all this work.
Oh, he's building something. He's building.
I did whatever, depending on what you do with your life. You know, I mean, if you just went out from high school and started working and earning money, raising a family, whatever you did with your life, all the things you did with your life, you can't help asking the question, I did all of that for this? So that some of the worst people who have ever lived can just murder me? I did all of that so that a music store could murder me? And some cheap backstabbing, essentially
yeah, I mean, if a music store did murder me, like, yeah, I had a lot going in my life and many accomplishments, and it was just like snuffed out by a music store. The entirety of a music store came after me, the building itself, and killed me.
child. barely out of high school. No life experience, hasn't done anything that I've done with my life. And these people can just end my life? This is what I did all this for? All those nights of burning the midnight oil, all those times I sat down having these great conversations with people, making them into my friends and learning who they are.
Making them into my friends. Is that like are you like Dharma and making them into his personal zombies? It's a very weird way to phrase that.
All these things I did with my whole existence was just so I could end up with somebody, in my case, who I trusted, just slitting my throat. And apparently...
No, she's a backstabber, dummy. She put the knife into your back, into your spine, and and she like had to keep going because you're a husky gentleman.
Enjoying it.
And yeah, like his estimation is she's got one hand free and the other one might be firmly down her pants.
The second thing that's going to distill down to is looking forward. There is so much more I want to do with my life. These people who have kids, they want to see their kid grow up.
No, you're not having kids, Paul. No.
They want to see who they marry. They want they want to see their grandkids.
I don't know if you're allowed to see them, Paul. I don't know if you're ever allowed to see them.
I think about the one girl. She went through 12 years of school.
It's like one of my jump cuts. That wasn't my editing.
She goes to college. She goes to law school. She's studying for the bar exam, the very last thing she has to do before she gets her license and she can practice law.
She was killed, some, and it's very much related to your story.
She did all of that with her life, and as she's studying for the bar exam the next day, some jackass next door breaks into her apartment, rapes her, and kills her.
Jesus.
I had to believe, if she survived it all, one of the things she's thinking in her mind is, I did all of this so I could end up here? And the other thing she's going to think is,
when's the next Ugly Man video?
Hold it, I don't want to die. I did all of that for all those years because I had things I wanted to do with my... I don't want to die. I did all of that for all those years because...
What in the hell is going on here? I think I know what that is. That's him. So he's resting his elbow on some sort of like faux leather, and he's kind of probably rubbing it back and forth, and that's just like imprinted. That's imprinted now because he doesn't really wash, but yeah, it's just like if you have any kind of like faux leather or fake leather, and you just rub your finger for a little while on it. Like I've got this like leather seat here. I'll rub my finger on it, and yeah, it stains your hand after a while. You're like rubbing off a certain layer of it.
because I had things I wanted to do with my life.
Obviously.
I'm 57 years old now. I don't want to die. I've got things I want to do with my life.
25 years of more of complaining in this car. Or a car. There's more complaining to do. There's more people and charities and government foundations and services to yell at. It's so wild that he is not even a little bit tuned into the American presidential cycle this time round. Because you go back 4 years ago to the homeless consultant, he is deep. He is deep down that rabbit hole. It's crazy. And I don't think he's mentioned word one.
But they took it all away. My tablet just ran out of power.
Yeah, because you ripped the cord out. The cord might be broken now because you jolted it so hard. Oh.
So I'm going to stop this for a moment and try to get this back together before I continue. Okay, I'm back. So I do not believe that your life passes before your eyes.
Alright, like it's some weird semantics you're getting in. Like it's not actually start to finish. It's more like important key hallmarks. All right.
I believe that a small part of your life flashes into your mind and hovers there, such that if you have time, you can't avoid thinking about your past and how all of that was rendered meaningless by this murderer, and you can't help thinking about what you wanted your future to be and how that has been obliterated.
Yeah, I mean, could you think about it? Like, could you actually lament it? I think it's maybe there's a compression of time. It feels like time is compressed, where maybe you can have this like very intense thought and reflection within this flash. Maybe the brain is just like at 1,000% capacity for a moment because it's just like lit up across the board, and you get to really have that kind of thought play out and process before you get the piano wire around your neck.
By this murderer. And that's a key point, because when I start talking about the punishment that these murderers really, truly deserve, you need to remember that. This is something that is lost in this era of taking murder so lightly.
Would any of this sort of evidence be brought before a jury, and would it be like admissible in court? Like, would anyone take it seriously? It feels like it's an appeal to an emotion, like it's not really factual. So everything he would the case he would bring behind him would all be this like emotional, wavy gravy, feel how I feel sort of sentiment, whereas like it's none of it's really factually based. It's not relevant to the case he's bringing forward. It's just like, I want you to feel a certain way.
Sensitization. Number 7, that people who are being murdered are going to experience. Again, it depends on the person, depends on their temperament, it depends on a lot of factors, how much panic they have, etc. But they are going to experience, I would expect, some degree or a lot of anger and fury. And when I say fury,
Watch a video of Man St. Helens erupting. We're talking about a person taking the only line. Yeah, but you're dying. I don't know if you get the moment to feel fury and fear. Like, I'm 30 seconds away from death. My lungs are just doing that, like, what is it? It's the lizard brain motion of like drawing breaths. It's just like auto function. It's just like, I don't know if I'm feeling fury. I'm just catatonic at that point.
I mean, wow, they're called defensive wounds. Well, if somebody is defending themselves like that, do you think they're just perfectly calm, like a rubber duck floating on a swimming pool, just perfectly calm while they're up there getting their hands all shredded and fingers cut off? like a scene out of The Matrix where he's just sitting there doing
I
his
am
judo thing.
sorry, guys.
Oh, man. No, they are mad as hell. They're yelling, they're screaming. They are not just trying to defend themselves. They are trying to hurt the person who's killing them. They are furious. Because was there when the building was empty, before any other business tenants were even in the building, years before the backstabber started working there, years before the HR person who fired him started working there. Has nothing but the best performance.
I mean, what does it matter? Like, it's just another bad talking point. Your seniority doesn't matter. Like, maybe it gives you a bit of grace, like maybe a tiny bit of grace. But if the offense is so bad, it won't matter, Paul. It doesn't matter if you're the CEO or the janitor. It won't matter.
And I didn't shout. I didn't go, "This is murder!" I didn't do that. But when you're being killed, that is exactly what you want to do. And to those of you who work in, especially the legal justice aspect of this, I want to point something out to you. If you have somebody in an attempted murder case, or even, well, I mean, any case where you have a witness who was, someone tried to kill them, or perhaps even they're there with their child and someone comes up and right in front of them kills their child, and they're in the witness box. I'm telling you right now, this is one of the problems with our legal system. It's trying, I understand the need to be civilized. We do need to be civilized, but at the same time, we need to be human, because it's human civilization, not anteater civilization. Human civilization. The natural...
Yeah, but like emotion appeals to emotion, and just like throwing your arms around and wailing and going crazy in the courtroom, it does distract from the facts of the case. There's a decorum in the courtroom for a reason, because these sort of crazy appeals to the emotional center of especially the judge and jury is, it will influence it in probably a negative way, in a way that, possibly gets killers off the damn hook. So yeah, there is a reason why.
Real thing for a human to do when they're in that witness box and you want them to tell the story of what that person sitting over there who's got a bed to sleep in, a meal or 3 meals every day, they're safer than just about anyone unless someone in the prison kills them. They got all these guards.
I mean, if you can articulate factually what happened and also, appeal to emotion, then, go ahead. But, I mean, you couldn't really factually appeal to anything. You could bring the emotion, you can bring the Shakespeare theatre to it, but yeah, you don't have the facts to back it up. So you would be just purely like the Glee Club, his drama club side of Paul would be carrying the weight.
Around. They're safer than you are just walking down the street. They've got a whole lot more than 4 million homeless Americans have, including the ones who work for a living. And you're sitting there watching this person, and you've got to recount the story of how this person killed you or killed someone you love right in front of you. I'm telling you right now, you want to shout, you want to scream, you want to throw your hands in the air, you want to shake the walls and the earth with your voice as you tell the story, and you want to walk over there and you want to just end this person for what they.
Well, that's not going to help your case, Paul.
Did, because that's just because you were there and you know what they did. But what does our court system allow? If someone starts going off and getting furious and angry in the witness box, what's the judge?
There was a dude who jumped over like a railing and like nailed a female judge. He just like did a Superman punch on her. And this is what Paul's like. Yeah, no, you get up there, you get angry.
Do. Chastises the witness. If it goes on too far, we'll take a recess, let this person cool down. Don't do that. If you want to know the truth, if you want the real testimony of what happened, let them let it out. And you'll see what they went through when that person had all the power. When they're in a secret place, like Human Resources does everything in secret, and no one else can see it. And you're going to find out just what it did to the person. But if you don't let him shout and let it out in a natural...
It sounds like he just knocked his mouse over. It's probably like dropped in under the seat, and then he'll have a meltdown because he can't find it.
Human way, you've watered everything down. Is it any wonder that that piece of garbage over there is only going to get 7 years in prison? Or 20 years with...
Who's he talking about? Who the hell is he talking about?
2 years, time served, parole, after 6 years. I mean, is it any wonder that it's not an eye for an eye, that that person is not going to be executed as they should be for committing murder? If you don't even let the witness tell you what happened in a way that expresses...
Was he just pointing for effect? He wasn't pointing at anything in particular.
What happened? There's people out there, I know for a fact, there's going to be people out there who have a problem with my videos because sometimes I get mad and I start shouting and yelling.
Yeah, you say a lot of fucking inflammatory shit, and, it can be interpreted the wrong way, Paul. And at this point, I think you're throwing caution to the wind. I think you want a rap at the window at some point, and, who knows what the consequences, there is free speech, and you do have the right to say what you will, but if it's a call to an action, or if it's the innuendo will go overboard, and then you're going to end up in hot water.
That's what being murdered does to you. On December 20th, before I started these 4 tiny major interactions with the backstabber, I'm just walking around. I'm like that placid duck in the swimming pool. I've got all these projects I've got going. I've got the meditative drum.
Then why did you get so attached to her, Paul? If she was nothing to you, if she didn't really interact with you, if you didn't know anything about her, it's just like the stories don't really connect. It doesn't make sense. You had some sort of infatuation with her, obviously. So it doesn't make sense. You're trying to rewrite the story, but the story you initially told to the story you're telling now, they don't connect.
Drones, I've got those getting ready to roll about in August, September. I mean, I've just got all these great things going, funny, humorous things. I've got other YouTube channels I haven't talked about that are more humor-oriented. I've just got a great life. I got issues.
What other YouTube channels?
But it's all fine. But getting murdered does something to you. Being traumatized does something to you, especially when the people you go to help you end up hurting you instead. Like HR, the Employee Assistance Program. And for God's sakes, this girl's supervisor, who knew me. He'd been there for years with me. And whatever she told him, this guy had a smirk on his face like he had just caught Jack the Ripper. What did she tell this guy? And why did he believe it? How am I not going to get absolutely furious? That fury is what you see when you see those hands all cut up and the fingers cut off or hanging by a thread because somebody is trying to defend themselves, defensive wounds. So that's my second suggestion to those of you in courts of law, judges. Let the witness let it out. I don't care if you don't want to hear somebody yell and scream, get angry. I don't really give a damn. They're the ones who went through it. Let them let it out. And then you'll know what that person over there, that well-fed person sleeping in a bed, unlike homeless people, you will know what that person did. You will know what New Jersey Human Resources did to me. You will know what that backstabber did to me. You will know how bad it hurt when that supervisor of hers, who I knew and worked with for so many years, gets this cocky smirk on his face.
So it's her supervisor, and he knew it. So this isn't your supervisor who gave you the guitar, right? It can't be the same person.
He's just caught some major criminal when I did nothing wrong. you will know. I'm sorry to yell if that made anybody uncomfortable.
No, I enjoy it. I always get a kick out of it.
Thank God this video is made for professionals. You understand what I'm talking about, and I'm trying to emphasize this point. On the justice side, we have got a major problem. There is zero deterrent against murder anymore. There's no deterrent. All you do is go through a process, you get free food, you get a bed. These people can even go to college while they're in prison. Get a degree. This is lunacy. So anger and fury are something that someone being murdered is most likely going to experience, depending on their temperament. And there is no good or bad temperament. There's different temperaments. It's just diversity. Unless I go out there and I start actually hurting anybody, let me let it out verbally. Number 8.
Yeah, well, just don't say anything that's going to get you in the clink, Paul. Don't rile yourself up and aim finger guns at the camera and, talk about, hypothetical situations in the the AMS building that might have you swatted, might have you surrounded by cops.
That people who are being murdered will experience. Follows from what I just said. Again, it depends. I don't think somebody who takes 10 seconds or 2 minutes to die is necessarily going to think about this, certainly not to any extent. But what about those people who are dragged away? They're carjacked, they're thrown into a car and driven to some place. What about, there's a girl in Australia, or she was from Europe, I think from the Baltics, and she got a job online as a farmhand with someone in Australia. So she goes all the way.
Is this Ivan Milat? It's probably Ivan Milat. Yeah, he would pick up hitchhikers and kill them, take them to pine plantations, like these big sprawling pine plantations and national parks, and just kill them.
Way to Australia. This guy picks her up at the airport, drives some ridiculous convoluted route to his home so that she has no idea where she is. She thinks she's 300 miles from civilization when the city's right down the street, but she doesn't know that because he took this route. And as soon as he gets her into the barn, he chains her up. You're my sex slave now.
Did he use them? I think he just shanked them. I think he just killed them on the spot. Might be someone else.
She had a lot of time as she's getting raped and threatened.
We are a society of criminals, descendants of criminals.
And then left alone while this guy goes away. She had a lot of time to think.
But my ancestors were definitely wardens.
I promise you, she is thinking about the punishment that she wants that perpetrator to experience. And it ain't going to be this. And it ain't going to be parole after X number of years. And it ain't going to be time served. And it ain't going to be a free meal and a free bed that homeless people who work for a living don't even enjoy. It's going to be the death penalty if he kills her. And if he doesn't kill her, the penalty is still going to be getting rid of this person off the streets forever, for the rest of his life. So he never breathes fresh air, and he can never hurt anyone ever again. So with this one, it does depend on how long the person lives before they're killed. But if you have any length of time to sit down and think about it, especially if the perpetrator goes away for a while, so you can kind of not have that intensity, and it doesn't matter if the person's a total stranger or if it's your spouse. There are some people out there, some tree huggers who might say, oh, I've got to have compassion, I've got to show forgiveness. That's a great thing. I'm a Christian. I'm all for forgiveness. But forgiveness is supposed to be for somebody who's contrite, somebody who sincerely apologizes and repents.
Yeah, turn the other cheek and then get it ripped off. Can you turn the other cheek when it's ripped off? I don't know.
Yes, you should try to forgive somebody, but I can forgive somebody and still want to see them hang in the gallows, so they never hurt anybody ever again.
It's an interesting thought. I forgive you, but also you gotta fucking die. Yeah, it doesn't really compute, Paul.
And this is something that in a court of law, especially since the victim is dead, the judges and juries, lawyers, they are not taking.
Can you address the timer thing? Can you turn that damn thing off?
This into consideration. When you are murdered, you want the perpetrator punished appropriately, and it is nothing more than another.
Maybe it's the camera's battery dying.
Stab in your heart, another indignity, another humiliation. To think that this person is going to get away with anything less than what they deserve because they decided to initiate all of this pain and suffering for another person. I went into that work that day in good faith that I was not going to be murdered by my employer. I took that job in 2017 in good faith that I was working with mature adult professionals who would not do something like that to me, especially after I'd spent 7 years working there and building up this massive, wonderful music studio that would give me all these opportunities to make money outside of work, just so they could just...
I'm finding it funny that every time he tells the story now, the interactions with the backstab are getting slighter and slighter and slighter. It's going to get down to well, we really only had a conversation of any merit or worth that was, 90 seconds long. The heart of it was 90 seconds long, so it's no longer 9-10 minutes. It's going to be 3 minutes or something like that, and it's going to get to the point where we never actually spoke. Destroy it
for their own kicks. I did that in good faith, but they were not faithful. Any murder victim is going to...
They weren't faithful.
Appropriate punishment, and more than anything else, they want to make sure that person will never cause pain to another person.
I think yeah, I believe Paul has got to a point of delirium where he's just saying the most ridiculous, random, stupid things possible. He's no longer composed about it. He's no longer like trying to carefully thread the narrative. It's all over the place. It's wild and wacky, and he just says random shit.
What you've experienced. There isn't a worse enemy. This creepy stalker online. This nutbag.
Who
has no purpose to his existence except to leech onto a homeless person. I wouldn't want that guy to go through this.
Who's
Nobody
that?
should go
Who the hell is that, man?
through what I've gone through. It shouldn't happen. Lastly, number 9.
I don't know who the hell that is, but we got to find him, track him down, and possibly donate a lot of money to him.
9. What people who are murdered experience is during your fight to survive. If you're murdered, there's probably, if there's enough time, depending on the circumstances, there is going to come a time when you realize that you're going to lose the battle.
Well, there's a lot of people on that Reddit, and there's quite a few people like that still light up his old comments in the Homeless Consultant. So yeah, he might not be directly referring to yours truly.
If you're attacked in a hand-to-hand combat, even if you're a petite woman against the big bad man, or vice versa, you don't really know what's going to happen. But as time goes on, it clarifies itself. There's going to come a point when you realize this is over. I can't, unless a miracle, which is exactly where I am, looking for a miracle. And I don't know what miracle there could possibly be, because there is nothing that can give me back what I've lost. It is impossible. No amount of money can do it. These people murder.
No, you gave a number before. You gave like $5 million. Like you wanted reparations of about $5 million. You said that would do. Something to that effect.
Murdered me. They took everything. They took my life. That's what murder is. But there comes a time when you realize you're going to lose. You're not going to win.
What if you had no life to begin with, Paul? Did they take anything away from you?
You are going to die. And for some people, that may create some kind of calm resignation. For most people, I think it's like, no, this just increases the anger and the fury.
I feel like Paul would definitely squeal like a pig. He'd be just like, oh, he would not be cool under fire.
And the panic and the trauma and the pain even more. The people who are most inclined to just kind of resign and become docile, it's more like, Patty Hearst, or people in the Holocaust who are packed like sardines in those shelves, and they're just there for months and months being worked to death, being subject to all this disease and filth. No hygiene, just like homeless people in Minnesota. No access to hygiene facilities.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Those people are just going to resign to the inevitable because there's nothing you can do. I don't have a choice, because in my case, it's illegal for me to do anything to stop this. I can't do it without becoming a felon, and I'm not a felon. I lived a good life where I didn't commit felonies.
You are driving a car that's not worthy for the roads. It's dangerous to drive. You are aware of it. And also you tend to litter out those windows. You do it. I saw it.
I'm not going to start now, because horrifying people like that forced me to against my will. And what's it going to do anyway? It's not going to solve the problem.
The lazy eye, like, it was never a thing, and now it's a thing. Missing teeth, yeah, age. Just get some veneers if you can afford it. At some point, Paul. No place to shower, no place to hygiene, no food, no reliable sleep, no reliable transportation, no protection from the climate. We wish you were well.
In my case, you've got the lazy eye, you've got age discrimination, there's no place to take a shower, there's no way I can get another job, certainly not one that pays the salary I had after 7 years of raises.
Yeah, well, you have to go fucking down a bit. You got to take yourself down a bit. You have to humble yourself. Whatever the case may be, you'll be a seasonal fruit picker. You'll be a guy stocking shelves at the local, whatever you have over there, Walmart. And you'd eventually kind of rise through the ranks and break off and find a new job opportunity here and there, and eventually maybe get back to that salary.
Working overtime almost every week for 7 years.
Constantine, okay. Serene, okay, just a good place for my car filled with expensive items while I'm at work. Working with musicians, immensely talented. It's a fun workplace filled with laughter and goodwill. Place for parking garage, but base salary raises whenever available overtime. Yeah, this is a ridiculous sentiment here. This is what I deserve. This is what I need. Give it to me. I want it. Give me all this and more. Otherwise, I'll never work again. You can't force me to work. I won't work some shit kicker job. I need a lending library full of expensive music gear. I want a place to shower and maintain hygiene and cook nutritious meals. I want overtime anytime I want it. Yeah, this is ridiculous. Absolutely, you're unhinged, Paul. More unhinged than usual. The doors come off.
And that, if nothing else in here, that is one of the most unique things you're going to experience that you haven't experienced. And it's horrifying. I can't tell you how horrifying it is. I have another one here that is more conditional. Remember what I said with the first question about any murder? Who murdered you? A stranger or someone you knew and trusted? Or maybe you knew them and they're just an acquaintance. Maybe they're a friend, maybe they're family, maybe they're your best friend from childhood. The sense of betrayal. This is why Dante described the innermost circle of hell, the deepest...
By your own admission, Paul, you didn't know her. She didn't know you that well. Like, you were barely acquainted. You had a very limited amount of interaction, so why would you feel a betrayal so deeply of someone you didn't know?
Darkest, most punishing circle of hell was reserved for traitors, for those who betray other people. Judas Iscariot. All those people who stabbed Julius Caesar in the back. Brutus. If you think you've experienced betrayal before, try having people you trusted. First, a small subset of your workplace, 70 to 100 people or so, however many people in New Jersey, this itty-bitty subset of people, really, who I don't even know. I don't even know the names of the people in New Jersey. I don't know. If I saw them in front of me, I wouldn't even know it's them. I don't know who these people are. They're effectively strangers. They are strangers. The backstabber, who I knew and was very familiar with, but I hadn't had all of them.
You weren't familiar with it. You had 9 minutes of interaction. I can't say I've met someone for 9 minutes and then said I was very familiar with that person. Like, I've met some people through my work, like, for a handful of minutes over a quick coffee to do whatever we were doing at the time, and it was like, if I met them again or referred to them to a third party as, well, they were my very dear familiar friend, that would be a very, very bad way to put it. It's untrue. It wouldn't be the case.
That much interaction with her at all. And then...
So what is it? It's like you had no interaction with her, but you were familiar. It's like...
This HR person, who I just tried to keep my distance from for the most part. I'd still give her candy with everyone else, but what a sense of betrayal. These are people I work with. These are people in my safe...
I mean, they're in your area. Do you technically work with them? She wasn't in... So the backstabber never worked with you. She was in your building. She was in a different department. The HR woman didn't work with you. Your job and her job were different. So you didn't really work with these people. They were more or less in the same company, but, you know, different departments. So, no, you didn't work with them.
Place. And I know that office is not my home. I don't claim that it is. But it's like my home. I'm homeless. That was like my home.
Yeah, but you have no right. You don't have squatters' rights to it. Like, this company didn't owe you this. Like, this was just a perk. And you should have behaved yourself on the job. And you would have lost this, like, sweet gig that you had that you couldn't stop bitching about before.
How am I supposed to communicate that to a jury if I can't sit in that witness box and yell and scream and point and flail my arms all over the place? How am I supposed to make somebody else understand what that feels like? By just sitting there calmly and, well, it was a big sense of betrayal. I don't think I'll ever be able to trust anyone ever again. Really? Is that going to do the trick?
I think it's a combination of both, Paul, but you've got to remain, you know, you can't piss the judge off. He'll throw you out, throw your whole damn case out. But if you can balance it, you need to balance it. So you can bring the emotion, you can bring the fury. But if you start pointing fingers and balling up your fist behind your back, you know, it's not going to work out.
That's what people who were murdered experience. That's what it feels like to be murdered. So to give you the quickest of summaries, the 3 points I want to make clear. Number one is the sheer magnitude.
Do you feel murdered, dear viewer? Do you feel like you've been bludgeoned to death?
Of the crime of murder. We've got to get back to understanding how horrific.
So we'll ban true crime, Paul. No more true crime. You're banned from true crime, and I won't watch any more true crime. Okay, so no more true crime documentaries, and also an additional punishment is no more World War II documentaries. So you can't talk about it anymore. All right, deal? All right.
Murder is. We've got to understand the magnitude of the crime that has occurred. The complete obliteration and destruction, ending of a human life. In the time I've recorded this video, what have I done? I'm sitting here holding back diarrhea that you don't know about.
Thanks. You can't really hold back diarrhea. Like, I don't think that's the case. Diarrhea is coming no matter what. Maybe you've just got like a huge turd ready to go, and it's hot in the chamber, and you've been like holding it in place. But diarrhea it waits for no man.
I'm sitting here talking into the camera. I'm dealing with batteries that die. You can't really see it, but I've got the car plugged in to try to provide power. I've got to deal with all these people circling me and staring at me. I've got to deal with the heat of the sun. I had to move the car backwards to try to get into a little bit more shade that you didn't see. Probably why you can't see me as well.
Have you ever had, dear viewer, diarrhea where the only way to maybe tame it is don't move get like very, very calm and try not to jolt or move around. And sometimes you can delay the process. But I'm noticing he's getting very worked up now, and I'm saying, if you're trying to hold that in, that's the worst thing you can be doing right now is getting worked up.
And a sense of the punishment that is due to these people. An eye for an eye. If they murder, they should be killed. That isn't us attacking them. They initiated it. And they need to be removed from society so they can never hurt anybody ever again, including you and the people you love. What if one of these people in Human Resources in New Jersey, when they get away with murdering me, what if they run for public office? And they become a city council person in Oakland, New Jersey. And then they become a state representative. And then they become a state senator. And then they become a U.S. representative. Now, that person who murdered me has the ability to affect the lives of 400...
Well, this is a reality that might actually, in your own canon, in your own lore, in your own story, Mr. Tim Walsh is on his way. Because Tim Walsh was effectively your attempted murderer before you moved on. So this idea is nearly playing out, Paul. Do you not remember this?
That's the first takeaway. The second one, again, I ask you, professionals, if it hasn't already been done, and maybe it has been, it would make sense to me if it had been, but I couldn't find it. If it is possible to do academic research to use the chemicals that flow in your body when you're in fear, fight or flight, or terror, mortal terror.
We went through this, Paul. It wouldn't matter. Like, you murdered either way.
There was a girl, I can't remember where, there was a couple who kidnapped young women to make their sex slaves. And they would bring the girl into the room, chain her up to the bed, rape her several times, and then kill her and bury the body. And this girl got in there, and she had the presence of mind because she managed to...
How many stories, like, how many of these atrocities and... He seems to have a definite infatuation with women imprisoned. So any woman that's like hitchhiking or abducted, and the real kicker for him is that they become like unwilling sex slaves. No consent, no nothing. It's just they're trapped. And yeah, Paul is really like dialing in on that. Very odd. Very odd. There's a lot of true crime. True crime is, it's sprawling, and there's many categories, but Paul is like laser focused on this particular type of true crime. He's a sicko!
But they had bars on the windows and she couldn't get out of the house. She had the presence of mind when she got out of the shackles to go start leaving clues around the room, because she wanted to leave something behind for investigators. Now, this girl actually managed to escape at some point. She actually managed to run away, buck naked. She's running down the street naked. She gets to the police, and can you guess what the police did? They did what Eden Prairie, Minnesota police did.
Is it like what they did with Dahmer's victim? Is like they brought this like young child, he was like maybe 13, 14, back to Dahmer and said, oh, we just had a tiff and it wasn't anything to worry about. Come back in and watch The Exorcist.
They didn't believe this girl running down the street naked. But she told them, look, just go to this place. I don't even know these people. This isn't where I'm from. Go to this place. Here's what you're going to find, because I hid it. I hid a cigarette butt up in the ceiling. I hid a deck of cards between the cushions on the chair. Here's all the things I did to prove that I was there. What I'm saying is the truth. And they went there, and lo and behold, they found these clues. Now, if she had died and been buried along with so many others, I don't know if any of those clues would have eventually come out to save or not. But my point is that she tried. When you have a crime scene, don't just look at it from your perspective, and definitely don't only look at it from the perpetrator's perspective. Look at it from the victim's perspective. Give the victim some credit. When we're being murdered, we are fighting for our survival. That's what all these videos are. As much as a documentation to get punishment for these people if I do end up dying, which it looks like is going to be the case.
He's not even sure of his own death at this point. He's like, which may be the case. Possibly could happen. Maybe.
Give the victim more credit. There's another one, I remember this woman in the 70s. She was murdered by an acquaintance.
I'm living in 70s.
That's what these videos are for. It's to tell the world who killed me and how they did it. And the torture they put me through for months. When all they had to do was nothing instead, and let me go about my life. I would have a fantastic, beautiful, wonderful life right now, today, at this moment. 2:11 in the afternoon on a Sunday. That's when I would have been
Turn the damn thing off.
Work for the next 5 hours. And these people ruined it all for no reason except because they hate people. Give the victim...
They hate homeless people. You've got to get that clear. They definitely hated homeless people.
Credit. Look at your crime scene from the perspective of the victim. They might have done something to leave you a clue, but they might also have to try to hide it. They might have to put the cigarette butt up in the rafters. They might have to hide the...
Well, Paul has his dog tags.
Deck of cards between the cushions. Look at every...
Which I believe he's wearing. So that's like, what is it? The sonichu, the Christian amulet for Paul. It's his dog tags.
Thing. Document it. Photograph it. Go in there with a microphone and record the ambient sound for an hour or two. Get all the information you can.
That would be a crazy idea, Paul. You need to go solid snake mode. You need to be like infiltrate No, maybe I shouldn't give this advice. Hypothetically, in a story, in a storyboard here, we infiltrate the evil music corporation and we get into the HR and we're like sneaking around in boxes and we're getting in lockers and we'll just like install little, recording devices and we're going to listen in and we are going to stumble across all the conspiracy is going to be laid bare because we found the chambers where they convene, and then like New Jersey HR are like projected on a screen. They're all there too, and yeah, we find out everything. We find out it was a complete conspiracy because they didn't like homeless people, and you are like a Solid Snake James Bond type character who revealed it.
It's showing you my anger. This isn't the type of murder where I get my fingers cut off in self-defense wounds. What you're seeing are the
Yeah, it's such an abstract concept that no one bloody understands.
Defense wounds. The trauma. The yelling and screaming. This is the defense wounds. Before they did this to me, I was the placid duck floating in the swimming pool. I had a great life. They took it from me.
No, you weren't. You had a whole... You need to delete the homeless consultant, and then it might be a little bit more true. Or, like, people can't find the evidence of it. But no, you were as whacked out of your head as you are right now back then.
And if you walk into a crime scene and you think you're seeing all there is to see there, don't sell that victim short. You don't know what happened. You don't know that they weren't in a totally different room that is completely undisrupted, and they're looking through the window, and they see someone who they think all along is going to kill them coming in the driveway, and they leave something in that room as a clue to who the killer is. Did you look there, or did you walk in and say, well, this room looks clean, nothing happened here? Look at everything. Give the victim credit. Quit giving all the credit to the murderer. The murderer is a piece of human garbage. Quit elevating these murderers. Start caring about the victim. And right here, at least as I speak these words, you've got a victim who could be saved, but nobody will save him.
You heartless bastards. Every single one of you watching these videos, you're heartless, you're disgusting, you're no better than, Dr. Mengele, the angel of death.
The magnitude of the crime. Some kind of metric for measuring the terror that the victim experiences and documenting and analyzing the crime scene fully. Not just you thinking you've done it fully, but do it fully and give the victim more credit than the perpetrator. That's my suggestion to all of you. I thank you for watching this video. I hope you got something good out of it. I hope it helps you understand what
I got brain damage, Paul.
the last moments of a person's life, or the last 7 months of a murder victim's life, was really, truly like. And I hope it impresses upon you the solemn duty and responsibility that you have, including Eden Prairie Police, who just blow off their duty. Ain't no big thing, it's a civil matter. I hope it impresses upon you the solemn duty and the privilege that you have, if you'll accept it, to seek justice for that person who didn't deserve to die.
And sing. Beautiful, Paul. Love your work, mate. What are you doing after this, mate? Let's go for a beer. Alright, guys, that is the finale of what it's like to be murdered. And you know what? It is pretty fucking brutal. I've received brain damage. I have a concussion. I have a lazy eye. Some of my teeth fell out. And I might be having diarrhea right now. So thank you, Paul, for letting me know it, letting me feel it. Like, I'm going to get working on I'm going to patent it right now, a kind of like a metric measurement system of fear and terror. And I'm going to make $1 billion off of it. Thanks for the idea. Yeah, well, what's left to say that already hasn't been said? Paul's off his chops, or old mate is cooked, completely cooked. Alright guys, till next time.